welcome to Greywolf Adornments. And so today we're going to do a tutorial on how to make the Tears of the Heart bracelet. Now this is the actual bracelet that I was working on when my mother passed away. It is kind of well, not kind of, it is a tribute to all of those people out there that I have lost a loved one to cancer. Now this was my original design here, and I decided I didn't like this design too much. So when I redid it, I did it this way, and unfortunately this bracelet is way too big, even for me. But I'm not gonna redo it. I like this design. It was more cohesive. It was less. And this one I used Delicas for the outside, and it just didn't look as uniform and as I really wanted it. So in this version, I used 11O seed beads, and it is very difficult to get the spacing right, and it's a very time-consuming way to create a bracelet, which would make this particular design too expensive. I would have to charge like $60 for this, and I really didn't want something quite that expensive. So this particular bracelet will stay in my personal collection because, like I said, this is the actual bracelet I was working on when my mom passed away. So to simplify things, I have created this one. Now when you hear this tutorial, I said to make 6 of these, but you actually only need 4 or 5 depending on how large you want the bracelet, and if you want to adjust the sizing with the herringbone in the middle, or if you want to just omit one of these. If you want to omit one of these, you only need 4 of these teardrops, and otherwise 5 with the number of herringbones I have here will make an 8-inch bracelet, and for me it's still a little big, but it's almost perfect for me. So this particular one is an 8-inch bracelet, and you can adjust the sizing any way you see fit, but I'm going to teach you how to put together this version of the Tears of the Heart bracelet. So I hope you enjoy the video and stay tuned, and I also invite you to like and subscribe to the channel. My grief fog is finally clearing, and I'm reorganizing my studio, and as soon as I'm done with that, I hope to be working on some brand new things. So I hope you will bear with me, and as always, I thank you so much for being here, and I hope this tutorial is helpful. Okay, the first step in making this bracelet is to make the individual components, and these are the little teardrop components here. And so you need, we're probably going to need at least 6 of these to make a 7-inch bracelet. So to make these teardrops, you're going to need 8 super duos in the color of your choice. My mother had thyroid cancer, so I'm using the thyroid cancer colors of purple, turquoise, and pink. So you need 8 super duos, you need some 11Os, and you need 1 little 3mm crystal for the bottom of the teardrop. So to start, you're also going to need, of course, a needle. This is I'm sure this is a size 12 needle because I have bent it all up in working with it. And then you're going to need a thread. And this thread is a 0.007 Berkeley Fireline thread. this thread right here is a 0.007 6 pound or 4 pound, sorry. And so to get started on this, you could put a stop bead on here if it will help you. I don't use one for this particular project. So you're gonna start off by putting 3 of the super duos on your needle. Leave yourself a tail thread so you can tie a knot later. So let me see if I can get a little closer. Alright, so right now your beads are going all the same way. So you're going to flip that one in the center over and make it go the opposite direction. So it kind of looks like that. You've got one facing up and 2 facing down with the empty holes facing down. And so you're going to pick up another super duo, put it between those, and go through the bottom hole on the ones that are facing down. It's a little tiny fiddly to start off with. So you want to go through that bottom hole, go through the top hole on the extra super duo, and then go through that next bottom hole and then pull tight. But don't pull out your tail thread because right now it's pretty loose. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Let me pick it up so you can see it a little better. Of course, now it's going to come all apart. So it looks like this. So here is where you're going to make your first knot. So I just use an overhand knot. Alright, now it's pretty tight, so let me show it to you again. Okay. Alright, so you're coming out, basically coming out the top of the top hole over here. You're going to go through the bottom hole, the super duo you just added, and the hole of the next super duo beside it. Sometimes you cannot go through all 3 of them at once depending on how tight you've gotten your thread. But you want to be coming out the bottom of the super duo on the opposite side of the knot. So your knot is here. You want to be coming out over here in the top hole. So making this teardrop is a little fiddly, and it helps to kind of put it down on the tabletop. So here you're going to add another super duo, and bring that all the way down and make sure the empty hole is facing the bottom of your work. And you're going to go through that same super duo you just added, then you're going to add another super duo, go through the super duo that's forming the point at the bottom bottom hole. Pull it through. Pull it tight, and now you should have something that looks like that. This part is a little tricky. So you're going to add 2 more super duos. Bring them all the way down. So you want one, and they fell into place pretty easily. So you want one that's faced with the hole facing down and one with the empty hole that's facing up. Just like that. And then you're going to go through the top hole of the outside super duo, through this hole where the knot is, the super duo where the knot is on this side, the bottom hole. Let me bring that up so you can see it. And then you've got to make it all the way through these to the other side. Make sure you don't skip any of the super duos in the middle. So this part is very fiddly. But once you get through this outside hole, you can pull everything tight. And you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so we're done with the basic teardrop part. Here's where we're going to start to embellish it. So you're coming out on the side. You're coming out this top hole of this outside super duo. So you're going to pick up 2 11-0s and go through the bottom hole of that same super duo and through all 4 of those beads on the bottom row. Until you come out. The bead on the other side. And you should be coming out of the bottom hole of the super duo on the outside. So now we're going to put on 3 11-0s and go through the bottom super duo, just one of them. And then you're going to pick up your 3mm crystal, go through that super duo on the other side, make sure you seat that crystal through those in between those super duos, so it looks like that. And then we're going to add 5 of the 11-0s. and go through the super duo on the opposite side, back through the 3mm bicone crystal, and out the super duo. So it's going to form that ring on the bottom. And then we're going to pick up 3 more 11-Os. And we are coming out this bottom crystal, so we want to go through the hole, the bottom hole in the super duo above it. That outside super duo. Right there. I'm going to go through that. And all of those super duos in that row. And you should come out of the bottom hole on the outside super duo. So since you're coming out the bottom hole this time, we're going to put on 2 11-Os and go through the top hole and all of the super duos on that row. Okay, so now you should be coming out the top hole on the other side. So we're going to put on 3 11-Os. And go through the top hole of the super duo on the next row. And then all 3 of those super duos on that row. And you should be coming out the top hole of the super duo on that side. This one right here. Okay. Tail thread is in the way. Alright, so now we're going to put on 3 more 11-Os, and we're going to go through that top hole on the very top bead. And then from here, we're going to put on 3 more 11-Os, and we're coming out this side of the super duo. We want to go through the opposite side of the super duo so we can form the top cap. And then from here, we're going to do 3 more 11-Os and go through the top hole of the super duo on the second row, this one right here. Go through all of those beads on that row. And then from here you should be coming out the top hole of the bead on the second row. So we're going to add 3 more 11-Os, and we're going to go through the top hole of the super jewel on the next level right there. And go through all of the beads on that row till you're coming out the other side. But don't go through the 11O just yet. Alright. So from here you should be coming out the other side, and you do want to go through the 11O that's right on top of it and turn and go up through all the 11Os on the side, and this will bring those, instead of a wavy line, it will make it more straight. So go through all of those 11Os on the top side. Make sure you don't miss any till you get to the top bead, and don't include the top bead. Just go through all of the 11Os on the side. Okay, so when you haven't skipped any, like I did, I had to go back and fix that. It should make those beads pop together in a more straight, in a straighter line on the sides. But we're gonna skip this top bead so we can form that point. And so you want to go down all of the beads on the other side. Oh my gosh, that bead just got all turned around in there. Okay, so now when you get to this section right here, above the side bead, if you want to add another seed bead on the side, you can. I found it made it look just a little too pointy to me, so because I've done it both ways, but I'm gonna skip that bead and just go all the way down here till you get to the 5 that you've added in the bottom. And here is right before you get to those 5 beads that we added on the bottom. Here is where you do want to add another seed bead, an 11O there. And then when you get to the other side of those 5 that you put at the bottom, you want to add another one. And then that pretty much completes your teardrop. And you can, what I usually do is go around to the original thread and tie them off there. But you can tie them off however you feel comfortable with. Me, I'm just going to tie them off with the original thread, or the tail thread there. So just want to get through all those beads to reach the tail thread. Oh, sorry, I think I was off the camera for a little bit. My eyesight has gotten so bad that sometimes I can barely see that white thread. Time for better glasses. Okay, so once you tie that knot off, you can just burn that thread off. And there's your little teardrop. Alrighty, you need to make at least 6 of these to make a 7-inch bracelet. So we will meet back here after I have all 6 made. Okay, for this part to complete the bracelet and attach all the components, you are going to need the 11 O's in the turquoise, and I am using these 3.5 millimeter, or it's 3.4 by 3 millimeter gold hearts. And you're going to need your thread and some 0.006 or 0.007 fire line. I'm using white here. And so to start, we're gonna we gotta attach the thread. And so what I'm going to do is go under this thread bridge right here. Or at least try to. So I can tie knots there. Come back later and maybe weave that one through, but we're gonna go through that super duo and up to that very up the 11 O's. And through that very top 11 O. So what we're going to do here is put on where the clasp goes. So to do that, we're going to do some herringbone stitch. So you're going to put on 2 11 O's and go through the opposite side of where you're coming out of the 11 O on the top. And then go back through that outside 11 O that you just put on. So you're going to have something that looks like that. And then you're going to pick up 2 more 11 O's. Go through the opposite side that you're coming out of, that 11 O on the opposite side. Go through the 11 O at the bottom. And then go back through those 2 outside 11 O's. Of course, it would help if I could see good. It's hard with the camera in the way. Alright, so there you go. Then you should have something that looks like this. Okay, and then we're going to add two more 11 O's, and this time you're just going to go through that first 11 O on the opposite side, like that, and then go through the two on the opposite side. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Okay, and pull the thread tight. Okay, so here's where things get just a little bit tricky. So you're gonna take one of the metal hearts, go through the pointed end, and then you're gonna put on two 11 O's, and then you're gonna go back down through the heart, through the opposite side of the first 11 O that your thread is coming out of, and it's going to be a little bit tricky to get them to seat, so just pull your thread tight. And those two 11 O's at the top will straighten out when we finish the next step. So what we're going to do, we're coming out that first 11 O there. Going to take our needle and go through the 11 O on the opposite side, back through the metal heart, and through the 11 O on the opposite side. And as you can see, they will seat properly in that herringbone style. Alright, so now we're going to pick up two more 11 O's, go through the 11 O opposite where our thread is coming out, go through the 11 O on the right side, it's a little tricky with the hearts there, and then pull your thread tight. Okay, then we're going to do that one more time. Go through the 11 O opposite of where your thread is coming out, go through the 11 O on the right side, and up through the right bead that you just added, and then you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so here is where we are going to add a wire guardian. I apologize that I didn't have that ready. So you're going to go through one side of the wire guardian. And then go through the opposite side. And I like to bring the thread down to make sure that it seats in the little ridge. There's a little ridge at the top. So make sure your thread seats in that ridge. And then you're going to go through all 3 of the 11 O's on the opposite side. Down through the middle heart. And down through all 3 of those 11 O's on that side. Here's where you're going to pick up an 11 O. Go through that bead at the very top of the teardrop. Pick up another 11 O. Go through all 3 of those beads on the opposite side. Go through the middle heart. Be careful not to get your tail thread all caught up in there. Go through all those 3, all 3 of those 11 O's up above the heart. And if you can swing it, go through the wire guardian. Right. Now we're going to go through the opposite side of the wire guardian and all 3 of those 11 O's on the opposite side. We're going to go through the middle heart. And if you can swing it, all 4 of those 11 O's on the opposite side. And then back through the top bead on the teardrop. So when you're finished, you're going to have something that looks like this. Okay, and so from here we're going to make our way down to the very center bead on the bottom. Okay, from here we are coming out that center bead on top of the teardrop itself. So now we're going to make our way down to the bottom so we can connect the next teardrop. So basically you're going to go through all of these 11 O's on the side of the teardrop. And you want to come out the center bead on the bottom. Just like this. Okay. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to repeat this herringbone pattern that we have on the top. So we're going to pick up 2 11-ohs and go through the opposite side from where our thread is coming out. Sorry, hit the camera. Alright, and then you're going to go through the right 11-oh from the bottom. Okay, and should have something that looks like that. Okay, so next you're going to pick up 2 more 11-ohs. Go through the opposite 11-oh from where your thread is coming out. Go through the 11-oh on the right side and back up through the right bead you just added. And make sure you pull your thread tight, because sometimes it makes a gap there. So what you want it to look like is this right here. Okay, and then you're going to add 2 more 11-ohs in the same process. This is just a basic single line herringbone stitch. So go down through the 11-oh on the left side. And then up through that bead on the those 2 beads on the right side. And then pull your thread tight. Make sure there aren't any gaps. And then here is where we're going to add another heart. And this time we're going to add it through the opposite way and go through the curved side of the heart like that. We're going to add 2 more 11-ohs. I mean, this is exactly the same as we did to add where we're going to put the clasp. So go back up through the bottom of the heart and through that first 11-oh on the left side. And it's always a little wonky because we're the way we're working, but it'll straighten out. I'm going to go ahead and go through that 11-oh on the right side, and then go through the middle hearts. And the bead on the right side. Wow, that one was a little tricky. Okay. Then we're going to add 2 more 11-ohs. Go through that 11-oh on the left side. And then the 11-oh on the right. The 2 11-ohs on the right side. And then put on 2 more 11-ohs. Go through the 11-oh on the left side. And the 2 11-ohs on the right side. And pull that tight. And so this is what you have. And from here we're ready to put on our next teardrop. And so we want them to go all the same way. Well, I do. You can put them on. So if you want them to flip-flop and go opposite directions, you could go through the bottom 11-oh at the bottom and flip it around this way. But I want them to go all the same direction, so I'm going to go through that top bead on the 11-oh. And then I'm going to go through all 3 of these 11-ohs on the opposite side. And pull that tight. And it will join those 2 beads together. Go back through your heart, through the 11-ohs on the opposite side. Or on the other side, actually. And then here we're going to add an 11-oh. Go through that bead in the center. Add another 11-oh, and then go through all 3 of those 11-ohs on that side. Go through the middle heart. Down through the 3 11-ohs on the right side. Add another 11-oh there and go through the center bead. Add another 11-oh and go down through the beads on the right side. Go through the heart. And down through all 4 of these 11-ohs on this side. Through that center bead. Down through all 4 of these 11 O's on this side. Back through the middle heart. Down through all 4 of these on this side. And instead of going through the center this time, we are just going to go through the next bead and work our way all the way down to the bottom. Where we can start our next herringbone pattern. And this is what it will look like. Alright, I'm gonna add all 6 of these, and I'll meet you back when I have done all 6 of them. So I did miscalculate, and we only need 5 of these teardrops for this project. So when you're done adding your 5 and you come out that end, what we're going to do is make another end like this, and it's basically the same process. So you're going to add two make sure I was in the right hole. Add 2 11 O's. The same way we did before. Oh, my thread is tangled up. I have too much stuff on my desk, so apologize for that. Made my thread longer than I needed this time, and now it gets tangled on everything. So add 2 more. Now when all this is said and done and you have your clasp on, it's going to be about 7.5 inches long. So if you need something smaller than that, you can adjust this bracelet by reducing the amount of herringbones in between the hearts. So basically you can do like 1 or 2 herringbone stitches. And that would help you make the bracelet a little smaller on these ends. So 1 more here. Add 2 more 11 O's. Okay, now we're gonna add the heart and 2 more 11 O's. Trying to get your thread in a knot like I just did. Okay. Two more 11-ohs. Oh my goodness. I'm just struggling today with the camera in the way. There we go, finally. And pull those tight. Alright, now we're on the last 11-ohs here. The last two 11-ohs. Okay, so now instead of adding another piece, we are going to add the wire guarding. And go through those 11-ohs on the opposite side. Do the middle part. And do those three 11-ohs. And then here we're going to add one more 11-oh just like we did when we were adding the component. Goodness gracious, I have it all wrapped around. Okay, I figured out what I did wrong, and I put the thread through the wrong side, so I backtracked and fixed that. And now that I'm coming out the right side of this 11-oh right there, I'm gonna add another 11-oh and just go up through those three and through the metal heart. I of course got my thread way too long this time, but I didn't want to have to change thread again. So then you're going to go through those three on the other side of the metal heart and back up through this thread guard. And then back down the other side of the thread guard. And those 3 11/0s on the other side. And as you can see, that didn't seat properly, so we want to make sure that we seat that thread in that thread guard correctly. And then we're going to go back through the metal heart and then down through all 4 of these 11/0s on the other side. And then we're going to skip the 11/0 in the middle and go down through those 11/0s on the side. And what that does is it basically reinforces the ending to make it a little bit stronger. And then from here, you can tie a knot. Or you can weave this thread in between all of these super duos in the middle. I am basically just going to tie a knot. And then I'm going to go through some of these super duos. And that crystal in the middle. Sometimes the needle doesn't want to go through, hence the reason my needle is all banged up. So I think instead of doing that, I'm just gonna cut this off. And basically you're done with all of your bead weaving. So I'm going to cut my tail thread off. And there you have your bracelet. And now it's time to put the clasp on. So let me get those. Let me get the clasp. Okay, and basically for the clasp, you're gonna need 2 jump rings and your clasp, of course. I'm using a magnetic clasp here because I find it for bracelets, especially, it's so much easier. And if you can find that, you're gonna bend those jump rings to the side and put your clasp on, and then bend it back, making sure that the ends meet well. And you're going to do the same for the other side. And basically there you have it. There is the Tears of the Heart bracelet, a very simplified version of the Tears of the Heart. This one turned out to be 8 inches with the barrel clasp altogether, and which for me that's just about right. To make this a smaller bracelet, as I was saying earlier, you can take out some of these rows in the end, or you can leave off one of these. For this particular bracelet, I had 5 of these teardrop shapes, and so, but you can use 4, or you can just take out some of the herringbone rows in the middle. It's completely up to you. So that's it. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial on how to make the Tears of the Heart bracelet. I appreciate your time and attention, and I thank you so very much for being here.